actually are in the non-physical state of like the astral, and they've lost the ability to go back to the Godhead. It's just like what you're saying as well.
Yes.
And they're almost trying to use us in a way to build these hybrids so they can reincarnate and have a soul again.
Yes. Yes. The point with some abductions, as I understand them, they don't have actual physical contact with the individual, like shaking his hand or looking at his organs or whatever. But there is information, very good information at least, that governments don't want to present for some reason, that these things are really physical, and they're actually made of a mercury mulch with gold, very thin gold wires and all kinds of strange technology, and that they are in fact adaptations to be able to go at huge speeds, breaking the rule of the speed of light in some kind of way, but they have to decelerate when they come into planets. And in decelerating, you need huge, kind of strength to withstand the G-forces, and their bodies are perfect mechanisms for withstanding this. If you and I were in one of these ships decelerating from that kind of speed, you'll be a stain against the window inside the space vehicle or whatever, But these things are beautifully modulated, it seems, for different situations where deceleration might be relevant, but then again, there might be something quite different to that. Andrew wants to take...
Yeah, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, Nigel, but as far as I understand it, your thesis about the Greys is not that they've lost their ability to go back to Godhead, but that they never came from there in the first place, that these are just mechanical, physical, secondary artificial creations.
Absolutely.
That actually have never had life. They're just a very... high technological form of robot that has been programmed with artificial intelligence.
This is the problem, you see, Ian, is how do we tell these? And this is where you get back to a very strange connection with religious thinking. And I was reminded by something that I'd read years ago that happened in the Bible to a chap called Yeshua ben Yosef, to give him his Jewish name, which I like doing, more commonly known as Jesus Christ. And he was taken up this high place, if you recall, I don't know if you recall this particular story, taken up to a high place. And something very interesting happened, as described in the texts, in the New Testament, I think. And he was taken to the high place and taken up and shown the cities of the world. And then various things happened, other stories happened in that same sequence. But the interesting thing was he was taken up to a high mountain to be shown the cities of the world. But let me tell you, there is no mountain where you can see all the cities of the world, even in Judea. What you can see all the cities of the world from is a platform up in space. And as Andrew will tell you...
I mean, if you can do a little experiment, any of you can't do this with a flat map, with its Mercator distortions and all of that nonsense. If you actually have a globe to look at, and spin it round so that you've got the center of what you're looking at is somewhere around Judea, you'll actually see that you can actually, if you stand far enough away, all the land masses of all the continents, what used to be Pangaea, Gondwanaland, whatever it is, you can see all together. Turn it round 180 degrees and you've got the Pacific Ocean with no cities. You've got, Tahiti is there and Hawaii, but they didn't have cities in those days. So all of the cities of the world were visible if you go high enough in the sky above Judea, which was the center of the landmass.
Which is very interesting, because the story goes on at the end of it all when this individual, Jesus Christ, says to this, "Get thee behind me, Satan, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Son of Man." And in effect, I think he was telling this robot that it was a robot. And I don't think that any robot has a sense of self, being an I, so to speak. It is a program, you see. And this was gathering information. I wondered why someone who went up that and was chided by Jesus like that would return him down. If he had the power to take Jesus Christ wherever he wanted, surely an insult would have meant a whack or a reaction, whatever it is, and that was the end of Jesus Christ, if you see what I mean. But no, he was returned. And I think that it gives me a pointer, perhaps, of the fact that these machines are not vindictive. They don't know anything about that kind of thing. They're not wicked in that sense. They just need information. And I think this information was what they got from Jesus. They understood that, and they returned him, to the earth. And the point was, from this, as it goes on, is that we have to, in some kind of way, if we're dealing with these things, and they are here, try to get information into them to say to them that Pinocchio will never, ever be able to be a boy. That if they do want to piggyback on our souls, so to speak, and hence the connection with the title of the book, by the way, which I believe is a very bizarre title, but that was given for commercial reasons by my publisher. That wasn't my title for the book, I can tell you. However, I think you will see that the concatenate way these things join up and you go from UFOs to religion to Jesus Christ and so on. The whole thing is one story, it turns out. And that's the biggest surprise I got in all my research, is how beautifully the whole thing fits. And if you look at it and you gain kind of indications to the logic that you're following in any particular point, it kind of melds together, And that's the amazing thing.
Can I just ask you a question? I mean, what happens to the hybrids that are, that are there now? Because people see babies and beings on ships.
That's right. See, what they're trying to do is to breed themselves in some kind of way to get their computerized mindedness. Forgive the word, but philologists will take me to task on this. But you have to invent words for some ideas, if you know what I mean. They have, in order to get their own kind of mindedness so that they can, in fact, in some kind of way, perhaps automatically replenish themselves. They don't have to go places to find a replacement type. They are run by DNA too. There is a kind of synthetic DNA that makes these robots. So they are looking for types of DNA as well. And that's the menacing thing. Are they harvesting DNA from us? The jury's out on that. I really don't know. Maybe they are. But on the other hand, it may well be that abductees are very special people. I make that point in the book. And that abductees have some resistance to whatever they might be doing with the human form, rather than some threat to whatever. So they are interested in abductees because they can't penetrate the abductees and make them or hybridize them. And so they're looking at abductees because abductees are that special. Now, I don't know whether my friend Professor Biggerstaff has something to say about this in America, but he's a biochemist of renown, and perhaps
cell
biologist, he would say. Maybe you can ask him about this. But this is how do they do this? How would they jump from being these mechanical objects, psychomechanical, however you might describe them, into kinds of being like us? However, the one thing they will never do, and can never do to gain, shall we say, the Godverse when they die or whatever, is be like us and have a soul. That only comes when you come in with the universe, and that's the great glory of all of us. Each and every one of us has that wonderful access through this mechanism we call a soul. And I think that's the great news that I wanted to give in the book too to everybody.
Okay, because if I check there as well, I know that there's been abductions where they basically impregnate a woman, basically, and then when the fetus gets to a certain stage, they take it away.
Because they don't understand emotion, Ian. They're looking at this thing we call affection, love, feeling, because they don't feel, you see. There is no way you can program feelingness, if you like, into a robot or roboid or whatever. And all of this is studied by them because they need, 0-1 basic information, as any computer programmer will tell you. It's something that comes from, the very basic elements of things built up into a very complex compendium, if you like.
So they would see it as a manufacturing process. And of course, there's a danger of it being seen that way on this planet as well. People wanting designer babies and all of that, wanting to specify what.
And one wonders how many people are actually hybridized by these people. the way people think these days.
All I'm wondering is that if they're giving birth to alien hybrids through a natural process, or a woman is going to a certain term, they're taking the fetus out and then they're growing it to full term in perhaps a lab on a ship or something, would that baby have a soul?
Yeah. Well, the point is